getting those notifications any minute now. It is Sunday evening. I'm at a truck stop at Love's in Tennessee. I thought I would go live. I plan on being on here for close to an hour or so. We'll see. So just waiting for some folks to show up. Trying to find the best place to see. What have I got on my shirt? So anyway, we'll just wait for some people to show up and we'll go from there. Been a nice day today. Sat in the truck, did some cooking. Got sort of a family recipe that we like to do. It's green beans and bacon, onions and potatoes. Tastes pretty good. And still nobody yet. It's been a minute. So we'll see. I feel like there should be a Jeopardy song playing in the background. Well, I see one person. Hello. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to see the chat or not. Thank you for joining me. And they went away. It wasn't that interesting. I'm going to let this run for about 10 minutes. If no one shows up, then we're going to move on. So, it's funny, the other day I turned this on and like instantaneously 15 people popped in. Maybe it's just a bad night, Sunday night. So, okay. Alrighty. Hello. I see there's somebody here. I'm just really just sort of playing around with this live feature. I have not seen it. Now I see there's more people. Good evening, everybody. It's like it takes about 3 minutes before people start to show up to these. Now there's a bunch of people. Good evening. Not for certain I'm able to see anybody. Can somebody just chat just for a second to say something just to make sure and see if you can hear me okay? I've not done this very often, so is there anybody out there? So if somebody could do me a favor and let me know if they can hear me okay. Hello. Good evening. How's everybody tonight? I don't know if you're trying to chat. If somebody is, for whatever reason, it's not showing up on my screen. So, not really for certain what's going on. Oh, maybe this is not working properly. I'm going to have to get my laptop out here and see if there's any way that I can see the chat from this side. Well, I guess we'll see here. And I apologize. I'm not used to doing this at all. Give me a moment here. Oh, well, there we go. I guess somebody can say hi. How are you tonight? So if anybody's got any questions or wants to know anything, I am at a Love's Truck Stop here in Jasper, Tennessee, which is just west of Chattanooga. I have a load I deliver into Alabama in the morning. I've been here since yesterday afternoon. Did some cooking in the truck today, and a little cleaning, little truck maintenance, and so that's what I have been doing today. It's been nice out, but it's been quite warm, about 86 degrees. I think I spoke to my wife earlier today, and she said the weather was good at home. She had our grandkids, goodbye. She had our grandkids this weekend, and I sort of wish I was home for that, but that's always fun. We have 2 grandchildren. So I missed out. Such is the life of a truck driver, right? Thanks everybody for joining in. It says we have 25 people online, but of course, I don't know. This is new to me, and so I'm just sort of trying this feature out. Sitting here in the truck. I know people always ask, hey, give us a truck tour. Well, there's a truck tour. So, anybody got questions? Anybody want to chat? I don't know. It's funny because, so I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the little icon that says, yeah, my name's Jim. And I'm a truck driver. I drive an expedited truck, in case you just sort of dropped in out of nowhere. All right, so at the moment, my wife is not in the truck. She is home helping out with some family situations, I guess. A couple of people are not up to par, shall we say, and so she is home helping with that and helping some other folks. Right now, my week looks like this. I am going to deliver tomorrow morning in Alabama, and I do not have a load from that point. So we will have to see, but of course, things drop in out of nowhere. Like on Friday, I ended up getting the load, and just I had to take off and go and get it, and then I ended up down here. I'm just west of Chattanooga. So, all right, goodbye. Thank you. Yeah, I will tell you, this expediting business is better suited to a team rather than a solo, especially for the runs that are a little bit further than 700 miles and I need to get there as soon as possible. But I'm doing okay. So I've hauled, since this month, I think I've hauled 4 loads and grossed about $13,200 to the truck. So I'm doing okay. We've had worse month as a team. So yeah, like I said, I'm at a Love's Truck Stop here just west of Chattanooga. All right, well, he asked about a typical week for a married couple. We have had weeks where, we make our money lots of times going from the East Coast to the West Coast and then back. And sometimes we will do that in a week's time. I've got friends, really good friends of mine. They're a team. They're out running freight right now. So I know last week they went from Maryland out to Colorado. They set for a couple of days, picked up in Colorado and went down to Texas. And then they set for another couple days and picked up a load going from Texas out to California. And then they will actually unload there in the morning in California. And then they pick up a load, a really good load. Picks up in California. It will have stops along the way. Not really for certain, maybe Arkansas, maybe Alabama, and we'll end up in Virginia. Actually, they're going to end up where I delivered to last week. That's a very good load, and that's sort of a typical week. You go from customer to customer, And sometimes you have no idea what you're going to be doing that afternoon, and sometimes you'll have our loads planned out, for quite a bit. There was a question about time setting. No, I am at Landstar Express America. I am not at Panther. We have never driven at Panther. We were at FedEx Custom Critical for about 9 years, and now we are at Landstar. We've been here, it'll be 6 years in September. I know nothing about Panther. We've had friends that have driven for them. I think they have some system in place where if you turn down like 3 loads, then I think you get penalized for that. But we have never driven for Panther. As far as setting, you do some setting, which is nice sometimes, and then other times you run. Yes, Highfield. Highfield has trucks listed or on with Panther and with FedEx Custom Critical. The last I checked. Funny thing about those guys, Eric Highfield and Patrick Lee, that own Highfield Trucking, we actually met them when they were drivers. They didn't have trucks; they drove a truck. We've met. That's been a long time ago. We actually set a weekend with those guys out in California. So they've done good. We've known quite a few people that have driven for Highfield. I can't say anything bad about them at all. You're welcome. I have nothing else to do tonight, so. Okay, the driving. So here's how it works. You're subject to the federal hours of service regulations. When you go on duty as a driver, you have 14 hours, and within that 14 hours, you have 11 hours that you can drive. After driving for 8 hours, you have to take a mandatory half-hour break. So if you're a team, like my wife and I, we usually end up driving around 10 hours a day, and then we take breaks just because we're old and lazy and like to get out of the truck. And so it works out. We can do around 1,300, 1,350 miles a day, so that can put us across country within a couple of days. So, yeah, the 11 hours, generally for us, it ends up around 10 a day. By the time we take our breaks, we have to do a pre-trip and post-trip on the truck. Of course, if you have to get fuel, we try to get fuel around every 700 miles or so. So it's usually once a day. Yeah. So, well, I'm older than you. I'm in my 60s, but we started 15 years ago. So, this is a, yes, thereabouts 10 each. Like I said, there's post-trip and pre-trips for both drivers. Fueling, there's the mandatory half-hour break, so that'll come into play for each driver. So there's an hour. So, that's pretty accurate. And like I said, we'll do 1,300, 1,350 miles in a day's time. 24-hour period, I should say. It's really not that bad. The seats in the trucks are very comfortable. It's not like you're driving a car across country. You set up where you can see everything. We actually, I prefer, I'd almost prefer to drive this truck than drive our pickup when we get home. Just gets so used to it. The one thing that a lot of people have difficulty with is sleeping while the truck is going down the highway. As a solo, I don't have that. It seems sort of weird to sleep in a non-moving bed each night. But with the teams, that is something that throws a wrench into a lot of teams. They just can't get used to it. Some people never get used to it. And you have to have a lot of trust for the person that's driving while you're trying to sleep. Have you had a good month? I've had a decent month. I started out on the 1st. I've done 4 loads. So I went from Ohio to Arizona, and then I ended up picking up where I delivered in Arizona, and then I should say, drove from Arizona to Arkansas, literally picked up in the same building I delivered to in Arkansas, tucked that load up to Virginia, went to the truck stop for a couple days, and then I ran back up and just out of the blue got a load Friday afternoon that I had to like go now and pick up. Pick that up in Northern Virginia, and I will deliver into Alabama tomorrow, and we'll see from there. Yes, it does take a lot more focus. If you've got a Class A RV similar to this truck is 40 foot long. I know some of the Class A's are 45 feet long. This is what we like to call a twin screw. It has 3 axles, 2 in the rear, 1 steer. But yeah, you just have to pay attention. Honestly, I would rather drive this truck than drive a car. We took a minivan vacation down to Florida several years ago. We live in Ohio, and there's me and my wife and my oldest daughter and our grandson, our youngest daughter and our grandson, and we all took turns driving, but we were beat by the time we got to Florida. It's even worse coming home. Of course, it always is. Yeah. So yeah, your Class A is not drastically different driving, I guess, than this truck. I mean, it's a little bit, but yeah, similar. Okay, so mileage in our truck. Now we have a mileage counter on our dash, and I like any trip odometer. There's like trip 1, trip 2. So trip 1 I've kept since we've been in the truck, and over the last 230 some thousand miles, we've averaged 10.3 miles to the gallon. Now, our refrigeration unit, whatever you want to call it, temperature control unit, burns diesel fuel. We also have a generator that burns fuel, and in the wintertime, we have a little small diesel heater in here, and they all burn fuel. So that 10.3 on the dash actually only calculates fuel burn through the engine. So I will use a little bit more fuel than that. But I actually kept track of our mileage this last hour. It's my mileage. I kept track of it over the last 4,000 so miles, and it came out at 10.39. So that dash is pretty darn close. So the other day I got 700 miles and I got 11.1. I must have had a tailwind or must have been going downhill. So you're welcome. Yeah. Yeah, we might be a little more aerodynamic than the RV. The Cascadia, we have a Freightliner Cascadia, like one of the newer aerodynamic trucks, I guess. Although we do have a big deer guard on the front of the truck, so I'm not for sure if that helps. Yes, a big flat box. Uh, honestly, no, the DOT doesn't really bother us too much. The carrier that I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but each carrier has a safety rating. So, like if you see Swift or FedEx or any of the UPS, every carrier has a safety rating. Just by the nature of what we do in these trucks, our safety rating is very high, extremely high, and so the number of times they pull you into the scale house, because we have pre-pass in our truck, those arms that you see hanging out over by the weigh stations, and there's a transponder in our truck, and we either get a red light or a green light. I don't even want to say it, but we usually get a green light. I think our pull-in rate nationally is set at 5%. So every 20th time we go across the scales, we can expect to be pulled in. Unless sometimes they just pull everybody in. But yeah, we don't knock on wood, generally get bothered too much by the DOT folks. Yeah. This last week was what they call the Blitz. You guys may have seen something like that on TV. It was sort of like a nationwide enforcement campaign that they run every year. And in some states, that they pulled in a lot of people, a lot of inspections. But I didn't see. I was not pulled in any at all, and I ended up sitting for 2 days. So yeah, anyway, worked out pretty good. We have been inspected before during the Blitz. Judy got a level 1 inspection. Oh, it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago down in Missouri. It was on the very last day of the Blitz, and it was getting late in the afternoon, so I don't know if maybe they were just trying to, catch up. But other than that, they don't pay too much attention to us. And like I said, our carrier, Landstar Express America, has an excellent safety rating. We're just like a very, very small piece of Landstar. I'm sure you've seen Landstar trucks on the interstate. Landstar has, I think there's around 8,000 trucks altogether, and they have 2 main divisions, Landstar Ranger and Landstar Inway, and their safety ratings are not so great, so I don't know. Ricky, when you don't feel well, it's not that might do that, and that's not like a stomach bug or something. Well, we've had that happen. Yeah, we've been sick on the road, and it is no fun. Generally, we have time to work around that, but sometimes you just have to work through it. It's like anything else. Fortunately for us, it's only really happened twice. We got food poisoned in California. We were sick all weekend, but we were empty. We were not delivering. The other time is we're almost 100% for certain that we had COVID. But again, it was on a weekend down in South Carolina, a miserable, nasty weekend. And a couple of times that we've been sick on the road, I mean, if we were, really, really sick, we would deal with it. We would call the carrier and say, hey, we're sick, we can't continue, we need to rest. And they're very, very understanding about that type of thing. They're more concerned about the freight getting there safely and in one piece than, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. In worst case scenario, they would actually have us offload the freight onto another truck if it was something like a medical emergency. And we've unfortunately know people that have actually had that happen. But like I said, the carriers are, at least our carrier, is more concerned about, the product getting there in one piece. And they're very good, concerned about driver safety also. So, but plenty of times I've driven where I've had a headache or a runny nose or, it's like anything, you go on. You do it. As long as it doesn't interfere with your ability to drive the truck, then you just sort of deal with it, I guess. Technically, you're not supposed to drive a truck if you are to the point where you're incapacitated. Like if you were constantly, being sick, throwing up, then technically you're not supposed to be driving. And I wouldn't want to be driving if that was the case. So. Okay, so here's the deal with this truck. When we came to Landstar 6 years ago in September, we got in, the fleet owner we drive for, we've known him forever, good friends. A lot of the drivers that drove for him at the time were good friends of ours. Well, hey there, Judy back. Sorry, I'm in the middle of something here. But anyway, so he had the truck, a brand new truck. So we got in that truck and drove it for, I don't know, we put 300 and some thousand miles on it. Well, we had talked about buying that truck at some point in time, he said he would probably owner finance it for us, and we thought about getting it, and he said, hey, just so you know, I've got a truck that's the exact twin of that truck. He actually ordered 4 at a time, but it has 120,000 fewer miles on it. So would you want to switch? And we did. So this truck that we are in, we will be in this truck 2 full years come October. We switched out right at the 1st of October. So it is exactly the same truck as the other one. There's a few little differences here and there. You would have to really, really nitpick to figure it out. So I don't know. Yeah. My wife, Judy, there in the chat, she is home and she has been out visiting the nursing home. No, we do not lease the truck. We drive for the fleet owner for a percentage of the pay. Technically, it is a lease, but not in the sense that you would think that we would lease a truck to eventually buy out the lease and own the truck. Now, we have talked about purchasing this truck, and it's something that's still up in the air. So, yeah. My dad was a truck driver, and we never got the, back in the 70s and the 80s and 90s, cell phones didn't exist. And so, he had to go find a payphone. We might hear from him every 3 days. He ran to Florida once a week and back. So, yeah. So, say hi, Judy. There you go. So, isn't technology great? Yeah. I miss my wife. But we've done this for 15 years, so after a while, you get used to it. In addition to that, we worked together in education for 9 years prior to that. So we've been around each other for quite a while. Been married almost 37 years. Actually, coming up this week, May 20th. We married 37 years. So, yeah, we sort of gotten used to each other. We tolerate each other. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no cell phones. No payphones. Every truck stop used to have a bank of payphones, drivers sitting around, just crazy. No, we're not that old. 38, married when we were a year old. True story. But yeah, it was different times. You had no entertainment. I mean, we've got a TV in here. A big refrigerator. I cooked in the truck today. I made green beans and bacon and potatoes and onions, fried it in a pan on a hot plate in the truck. So that's something my dad never had access to or anything. But yep, different times, different days. Yeah. Your mom and dad have been married almost 61 years. 61 years. Yeah. So anyway, Judy is staying home and she's off the truck. We have just some family folks. Judy's mom has been in and out, hospital, nursing home, and she's doing better now. And so Judy's helping out with her. And let's see. I didn't know there was a moderator. That's weird. I wonder who the moderator is. Jamie, there's a thing that popped up where you said Roberts Express White Glove Services says this message is held for review. I don't know why that is. And when I try to say show, it says, oh, another moderator has already handled this thing. So I don't know. So yeah, Roberts Express White Glove Service. That's going back a ways. Roberts was really sort of the creator of the whole expedite industry. They were one of the early expedite carriers. And then they were bought out by FedEx and are now FedEx Custom Critical. So, yeah. That's so bizarre. I don't know why I did that. Apologize. Another moderator just handled this. for sure why. Like I said, this is all new to us because, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, we were actively posting to the channel a lot, and we did some lives then, but it was actually done off my laptop with a what is it, OBS Studio, I believe is the software, and we got fairly adept at using that. But this live thing on the phone, I'm not really for certain. Yes, we stay fairly busy. I mean, when we're out running, we'll get a weekend off here and there. And it's funny with Landstar, the weekends are usually Monday and Tuesday, because we usually run. I've ran this whole month. I've been running on the weekends. Landstar Freight seems to move over the weekends. I don't know why. When we were at FedEx, it was a different story. Usually you had weekends off, and I think it was just the nature of what we were hauling. So that was more of a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday industry. And the stuff we haul now, for whatever reason, moves over the weekend, which I like running on the weekend. There's fewer people. Yeah. So my wife has this routine every night. She comes home, she goes to her dad's house, and it's about 5 minutes away from the nursing home. And they eat ice cream, homemade ice cream, every night. They may have, dinner, but they eat the ice cream. I miss the ice cream because it's really good. And so I know this weekend my grandson was up, and I know my father-in-law made more homemade ice cream. And he goes overboard because he, not just one batch, he makes two. And it's really good. And, I can't have it. It is very good. And it's actually quite awesome. He uses whole milk and eggs and sugar. And, that's it. That's all you need. Vanilla. Weiss makes vanilla ice cream. And then Judy dumps like half a pound of pure cocoa in it. So, but I did something I think we've only done a couple times since we've been out driving. I actually bought ice cream. I bought these little Carb Smart bars, like an ice cream bar, and I had them in the truck. And of course, where I'm parked at the Loves here, there is a McDonald's, and the McDonald's here has the M&M flurries. And I'm probably going to have to walk down there when I get finished with this and grab one of those M&M flurries tonight. I think I've earned it. Right? Sure. Oh. I keep looking at the top of the screen. It tells me how long I've been on the air, 33 minutes, and how many people have liked the video, the big thumbs up. That's 3. And now apparently it keeps flipping back and forth between 2 and 3 people are actually in here. So, I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I saw at one point in time, I think there was like 15 people, and I probably scared them away with my Shrek-like countenance. And so anyway, running solo, I guess. I set in Arizona I delivered on Monday, delivered and picked up on Friday. So that's longer than we normally would have set. And then there was no setting between the load in Arkansas. I literally delivered and picked up in the same building. And then I drove up to Virginia and delivered there. I delivered on a Monday. No, I delivered on a Wednesday. Take that back. Delivered on a Wednesday, and then got this load on Friday. So, now typically for us, we might set for a couple of days if we were running. Sometimes we don't even set. I mean, we'll literally deliver and then run and go pick up that same day and then head back. I know there was a point in time, and we did this twice. It was crazy. We ran a load that ran out of Southern California and delivered in Eastern Pennsylvania and then on up into Massachusetts. And this was a weekly run, and this has been several years ago. We did that, got to Massachusetts, turned right around, loaded up a load, went back to California, loaded up the same load again, took it to Massachusetts, and then managed to get a load coming back to California. So, I mean, that's probably about as busy as could be. You know, we are limited to 70 hours of driving time in an 80-hour or an 8-day period. So we managed to run out of hours almost. We were able to squeeze in what's called a 34-hour reset, where we have to set for 34 hours, and made it back to California. We've done that twice, but this was years ago at FedEx. Um, so that's quite a bit. During COVID, we were on a loop that ran from essentially just outside of Boston to Bloomington, Indiana, back to Philadelphia, and then back to Boston. We would run that as hard as we possibly could. We were delivering and unloading and picking up in the same spot. And we ran that for 6 months. And we just were exhausted at the end of those 6 months. We had to take a break. We ran out of hours and would have to take a break each week. I was crazy. And but it was COVID. There was no traffic. There was no traffic in New York. None in Philadelphia. So just different times. You know, actually, we could have taken advantage of that because the restrictions, where we actually did not have to follow the hours of service, but we would have killed ourselves. We were wore out the way it was. I mean, we were driving hard. So the restrictions were we did not have to follow the hours of service because we were involved, and we actually had a piece of paper we carried in the truck that said that, you know, this truck is involved in activity directly related to the, you know, the COVID relief effort. And so we were exempt from it, but we just went ahead and followed the hours. It was sort of crazy. But you know, we were carrying components for the vaccine at the time, and so, you know, it's pretty intense stuff. We did that for 6 months, and then we ended up going home. And in the meantime, while we were home, we were going to take a couple weeks off. Something happened. They changed the way they were doing the freight. They changed the company that they were dealing with. And so we ended up not hauling it anymore. And so we went to California and ran into some stuff out there. So, but yeah, different times. Don't want to go back to those at all. It was good for the pocketbook, but I'd just as soon not deal with that again in my lifetime. One pandemic is enough. Yeah, as far as, you know, running solo, this business is really, there's sort of two main things that we do. It's either expedited freight, and then there's sort of I don't know, there's an overlap. There's expedited freight, which is where we go to a customer, pick up something, and take it straight to the other end and unload it, and we do that as fast as we can. And by nature, that tends to be what's called exclusive use, because we don't have time to go stop and pick up someone else's freight. That's the only freight we got on the truck. But the other portion of what we do is exclusive use freight, where we only have one customer's freight on the truck, but there's no time sensitivity with it. And that's basically what I've been running. The load I took out from Cincinnati, Ohio, out to Arizona, you know, I had all weekend to do that. But I still had just one customer's freight on the truck. And that could be because they don't want it mixed with anybody else's freight. You know, it's valuable to them. It may not have any street value, any value to anyone else, but to them, it might be crucial to their operation, so they don't want it mixed. Chance of getting it broken, getting it lost, having somebody else handle it. You know, when I shut the door at the customer, that door doesn't open up until I get to the other end. So That's one aspect of what we do. See, told you, ice cream, parking issues. No, it's different. When we're running as a team, we don't have parking issues because we're running generally. But for me, I found that if I can get to the truck stops before 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't have any problem getting a place to park. So I just sort of, take my time and schedule stuff, and it works out pretty good. I've only ran into, I think, one time since I've been out, I had to end up paying for a place to park, and that was over in southern Pennsylvania on Interstate 81. I got there a little late. All the free parking was taken, and there was only about 3 trucks in the paid parking, so I just got a place to park. It's not cheap. Paid parking it's good and bad. It cost me $22 to park that night, and that comes out of my pocket. So I would prefer not to park in the paid parking. But whatever. I buy fuel at the truck stops just the same as the big trucks, so I figured I'm entitled to take a parking spot because, I'm in a truck. I'm actually in the middle. I will be in the middle when I finish here. I'm actually editing a video that I filmed earlier today that talks about how we get paid and the pay to the truck, and how the pay at Landstar works. But I'll try to put that out there either tonight or possibly maybe tomorrow. Not really for certain how that's going to work. So see, ice cream. Gonna have to go down to McDonald's here. So, well, I told myself I was going to stay on here for an hour. I'm going to try to commit to that. So it's about 17 minutes left. So it may just be me sitting here talking aimlessly to myself, which is no different than normal. But I don't know. I appreciate the folks that showed up. I know it's probably a bad night, Sunday night, and I didn't really publicize this way too much. So, but I had some good questions and everything. So, more comments than I thought. So, I'm hoping to try to put some more what they call long form videos out there, which are the longer YouTube videos, the horizontal videos that that are longer. But we'll see. I was really sort of shocked. We really haven't done much with this channel in 3 years. We've posted sporadically after we came to Landstar. The scheduling at Landstar is not as consistent as it was at FedEx. I don't know why that is. Probably just the nature of the freight, I guess. So we haven't really done much with the channel, and we were languishing around 916, 918 subscribers to the channel for years, and then I don't know. We put a short video out there that sort of went viral, and then we ended up putting another short video out there that really went viral. It has, I think, right now 675,000 views on it, and then subscribers to the channel just sort of took off, and so now we're closing in on 3,000 subscribers, which just blows my mind. So I'm going to try to do some more and put some more things out there. So anyway, having a Class B, trying and I can make good living in industry. Finding someone to run with me has been an issue. Yeah, I've noticed that. The expediters on YouTube, I don't know why that was. For a while there were quite a few. I will tell you, the solo, I don't know what percentage that will be able to make of what we would be able to make as a team, um, and a highly qualified team, you know, can make quite a bit of money. Just to give you an example, I've got friends that we have known since literally day one at FedEx. We went through orientation together. Stay in contact with them all the time. They're great people, and they run as a team, but they have a government clearance. I don't like to talk about that too much, but let's just say they have a government clearance. So they have access to freight that Judy and I do not have access to, which is fine. I've never wanted to get the government clearance, so we've just never done that. We've stayed busy and we've done well over the years. So anyway, to give you an idea, since the 1st of May, I have grossed. That means what Landstar has paid the truck, not me personally, but what they've paid the truck is around $13,000, I think $200, which is not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. Judy and I have had months where we would only, as a team, do $18,000, and I'm just 2.5 weeks right now. Just to give you an idea, they have been out 3 weeks. So they actually came out the Monday before I came out on Friday, and they've grossed around $44,000 to the truck, including the load they've got on there now. So they're doing 3 times of what I could do. Even though there's 2 of them, they're doing 3 times of what I could do. So that's sort of what I thought might be the case. Saw a lot of great loads this week. A lot of good team, but they're mostly team loads. Landstar is good with team loads, I think. It's the nature of the freight. FedEx Custom Critical, I don't think you would do as well there as you would at Landstar as a solo, but I'm not for certain. It's the nature of their freight. A lot of their freight requires 2 drivers. Landstar, not so much. Anyway. Yeah, not many expediters on YouTube any longer. And I don't know why that is. I haven't really paid attention. There was Frank, and I don't even know if he's driving any longer. Truck and Travel, they came off the road. What's the really big channel? Got like 50,000 subscribers. Heather and Jason. I don't remember the channel name. But they're off. I think they're still driving, but they just quit the YouTube stuff. I have no idea. Okay, so again, one of your questions went to moderation. It says, have you had any breakdowns over the years? Yes, we have. From time to time. I think we've had the truck towed once. But we've had, we have issues. We have maintenance issues. The DEF system on these trucks, the aftermarket treatment system, is notorious for having issues. I mean, the trucks will actually what they call derate, where if there's a problem with the after treatment exhaust system, they will actually basically shut down. Had that happen out in California not too long ago. We've had turbos go out of the trucks, not the older model Cascadias. We've not had any really major problems with these, but our truck right here, I think, has got 473,000 miles on it. And so, they're designed to be a 1,000,000-mile truck. Now, hopefully we'll reach 1,000,000 miles in this truck. But, you have breakdowns. So, again, I don't know what this moderation thing is. So, but yeah, I don't know where everybody with the Expeditors went. I know there was the Luke Shires. They were on here. But it just seems like it's dropped off. Maybe I can be the king of YouTube Expeditors. That's a goal for me now. I don't know. We did it pretty intensely for about 6 months, and it was a bit much. And I think the quality of those videos suffered because eventually it just became Judy and I sitting in the back of the truck talking to each other. Who wants to see that? Um, but whatever. I'm sort of surprised by that. The trucking niche, I guess. There are a lot of people that have big followings on YouTube that do trucking, and why should the little trucks be any different? They're sort of unique, sort of cute. It's usually a husband and wife, so there's all kinds of different dynamics, different viewpoints to come through. But I don't know. So we're try a little bit harder, I guess. Put some stuff out there. Most of our content, is terrible, but it was from the FedEx Custom Critical days. We drove for them for 9 years, and we started the channel when we were there. And I haven't really done much in the way of Landstar content. So I don't know. Maybe we can start something here. So it's funny. I keep watching the little man up there that tells me how many people it went from like 4 to 1 and then back to 2. And so I don't know. I honestly have no idea how many people are watching. I would guess maybe 1, 2. I have 5 thumbs up. The old please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the little notification bell. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know you have been around a fan of our channel for quite a while, so we do appreciate that. And the reason we've done this is we were very fortunate when we started. We basically had mentors, I guess, for lack of a better word, that we got in touch with, and they sort of showed us the rope. If I had questions, I called and talked to them. And so we just sort of wanted to be able to help people getting started. There's a change. I don't know if it's since COVID in expediting. People used to get out of their trucks and talk to each other. And that is how I learned a lot of things about what we're doing. I would find people in the truck stops that were driving these trucks, and I'd get out and go over and talk to them. And I guess it's just the COVID stuff. People have basically, no, don't come talk to me. I've actually literally, and friends that we've known too, they'll get out of the truck to go talk to somebody and they'll pull the curtains. They won't talk to you. So I'm sort of surprised that there isn't more interest in the YouTube expedited trucking thing, because that's one way that people can find out information and not have to actually talk to another human being, which just blows my mind. So it's changed in 15 years. It really has. There used to be a couple of truck stops across the country where a lot of the freight was concentrated for what we were doing with FedEx. In Bordentown, there's a Petro, and in Ontario, California, there's a Petro. And there used to be places up front where the expediters would park. And sometimes we'd have 9, 10, 12 teams in their trucks, and we would have cookouts. We would have tailgate parties, essentially, because, like I said, FedEx tended to be Monday through Friday. So on the weekends, we'd all sit together. Unfortunately, those areas no longer exist. In Bordentown, New Jersey, they put in gas pumps, and then they stopped the ability for straight trucks and bobtails to park up front. You have to park in the back now. And in California, in Ontario, they used to have a parking lot that expediters were allowed to park in, and then they allowed bobtails in, and it sort of got a little out of control. And then they kicked the bobtails out, and then eventually they kicked everybody out up front. So now it's just back to, it's a car parking lot, and everybody's in the back. So that community, because the friends that we have made over the years, we made in those two parking lots that we got to know. We spent the weekend with folks, and we're still friends with those people. But I just don't know if that exists anymore. I know the whole Highfield family thing was a big deal for a while, but I've even seen that drop off. They stopped having the Expedite Expo, which was like a trade show for trucking. I really don't know why they stopped that. I don't know if it was attendance or they were having problems with vendors. They had that for years and years and years, and we looked forward every year to that. It's a chance for all the expediters to get together and hang out and have a big barbecue and, catch up on stuff and walk around the little show such it was. Um, so that was fun, but I don't think they've had it in 3 years, and I don't think there's any plans to have it any again, honestly, at this point. Um, so that was a lot of fun, you know. Um, Made some great friends there too that we're still in touch with. So I don't know. Everything's different. So the only thing that hasn't changed is the fact that the rates never go up, and the fuel price does, and equipment price goes up. So I'm just teasing. I actually like what we do. Judy and I have had some great times. We've seen a lot of the country that we would have never have seen. There's probably no way we'd ever went to California. I personally myself love to go to California, but it's afforded us an opportunity to see the country, meet a lot of great people, and see a lot of things that we would have never done if we were home. I think it's sort of, in some ways, made us more aware of the folks around us, more appreciative of people that are different from us. So sort of expanding our horizons, I guess. That's one thing that I'm very grateful for. Um, so yeah, I miss it, but I know one of these days we're not going to be able to do this. I mean, heck, I'm approaching the age where a lot of people start to think about retiring. I've thought about retiring, but unfortunately, my wallet is not aware of the fact and it continues to want fed. So we'll see. I think in the back of my mind, if Judy does come back out on the truck, which is not a given, but if she is able to get back on the truck, I'll probably be here at least until she is eligible for Medicare. So that's 8 years or so away. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So anyway, just a quick recap. I'm sitting in a truck stop just out west of Chattanooga. I have a load that unloads tomorrow in Alabama. I do not have anything after that. I'll probably head to a truck stop and see where it goes from there. So I'm going to try to wrap this up in another couple of minutes, and then it'll get posted out on YouTube, and everybody will rush to watch the full hour that has been this live conversation. So anyway, thank you for joining in. I'll probably maybe do another one of these soon. Maybe I'll try to get more notifications out there in advance, make a little bit bigger deal about it, I guess. Like I said, this time it's more of an experiment, I guess, than anything, just to see how it goes. As a quick recap, we just recently passed the 1,000 subscriber mark, and one of the things that unlocks is the ability to do a live broadcast from your phone, and that is something we've never had before. Before we had to go through different software and use my laptop, and it was just sort of a pain. This is literally push a button. And so I thought I would do a live, answer some questions if anybody had some. So, in the future, if I schedule these in advance, maybe come up with a topic or something, we can go from there. So save your questions, write them down. So we'll see. You're welcome. Thank you for sticking around this long. I'm sorry. I'm making your Sunday evening an event. We'll go with that. How's that? So anyway, well, thank you all for joining in. I am just about ready to end this. And hopefully if I have another one, some folks will show up to that one too. So, but again, thanks everybody that tuned in, and have a good rest of your Sunday evening and a great week next week. And we will talk to everyone later. Peace.